Hello there boys and girls, Lucky here and welcome back to another CSGO video. Today with another episode of getting early picks with the AWP right here on DE Cache. I already did Mirage and Dust 2, you can check them out in the description down below. But yeah, this is basically like an entry frag tutorial for AWPing, and I'd say let's get right into it. So as I always say, the most important thing is basically your spawn. As long as you got the best spawn position, you'll be able to usually get an early pick with the AWP. So let's say out of our terrorist teammates right here, we get the best spawn up here and we just want to go for a mid pick. That's the best thing that you would usually do. So of course we run with our nice out, and as soon as we're crossing to T-red, you kind of get your AWP out and you post up like this. Usually you'll get a guy who's kind of crossing over towards highway or towards A side, or just a guy who's holding mid. And right here you can usually get a kill on him just by posting up like this. Sometimes you can, if you know no one is coming, or even if they're smoking off, usually got enough time to kind of pick the guy right here. And as soon as this is smoked off, you can kind of post back right here and just wait here. And then once again wait like 1, 2, 3 seconds and then fire. Because many times the guy right here will post up there or here, and this will usually give you a kill. Of course it looks very fishy because you're firing him through the smoke, because this right here is usually smoked off. Now, contesting the guy right here in connector is never a good idea, because I mean, you can kind of try to pre-fire him with a peeker's advantage, but you never know, is he like holding the default spot in mid or the other side. And also if you're peeking out like this, you're exposing yourself to two angles at the same time, however you can only watch one. So I would not recommend to go for this peek, because the guy right there will always be first. Now I also got something for you guys that will help you with the guy in connector, and credits to the guy in the description down below, he found it first. Basically, when you're spawning, you want to kind of go to this bar right in the middle, and then you want to aim right here where the arrow is and follow it to the side and basically to the metal doors. And what you will have to do is you have to wait 5 to 7 seconds approximately, and after that time has passed, you want to start and fire right here. Let's see if I can hit a shot, because I put up a bot. It's kind of not as easy as it looks. Maybe a lower one right here. There we go. So as we can see, we got the guy who was holding right here. This is a very nice spot. So usually I was going for a headshot, so it's a little risky. So if you aim like that, you can hit him with a headshot. Just like to the side right here and down a little to this part. And if you want to go the safe route, you can of course aim right here and go for a body shot. So as we can see, or maybe even lower, more like a leg shot. But you get the idea, so keep that in mind. It's a very handy or useful wallbang. Now let's move towards Beachside next. If you're moving towards Beachside, you want to take this path and not the one that is going to be connected right here, because you're going to be faster if you're taking this route. And what you do is, of course, you just kind of post up. Okay, gotta reload. But what you do, as soon as you're reaching this corner, you just kind of post up right here. And in this scenario, it really depends on who of you got the better spawn. I mean, it always does. It always is about who has the better spawn. But the guy who got better spawn will be able to post up here first and try to get a better shot. Usually the CTs, they have more better spawns if they're coming up right here and try to fire at you. However, I think this is usually still a good pick, because it's kind of 50-50, I guess. And usually I get a pick if I do that. And if no one's here at all, you can just kind of post up right here, no one's coming, and they smoke it off. You can kind of creep around and just try like this, and if there's smoke, you can once again just wait and fire, but usually there's no one there. And you kind of creep around. And of course, if no one came, you gotta rely on your other buddies to kind of entry frag the way in. Now let's move on to the A side. Now, once again, we got a good spawn, and when we get towards A side. A side is kind of tricky, because you're kind of meeting with the CTs in A main, and you usually don't have a clear line of sight. So right here about-ish is where you would usually meet them. Of course, you cannot kind of wait right here to post, because usually they'll smoke it off right here, and sometimes they kind of like also flash themselves in, and they kind of kill you, and just posting up like this doesn't help. So what you usually want to do, because CTs usually do not push in here, what you want to do is kind of fly over and check NBK, or kind of want to fly over and check quad right here, or maybe creep up on the guys right here. And that's basically the only thing that you can do to get an entry or early pick on the terrorist side right here on A main. Just kind of try to wait and see if someone's peeking. Usually they smoke it off, and once again you can just wait 1, 2, 3 and then just fire through the smoke and try to get them like that. But they're usually not peeking all that much. Like, if they got it smoked off, one guy's probably right behind forklift, the other guy here, or just holding like this. So you never know, but just like firing a pot shot usually will grant you at least some sort of reward, I guess. Now let's talk about the CT side. So now we're on the CT side, and of course the first thing that we're gonna do is pick mid if we got the best spawn up here compared to our other buddies right here, and it's very obvious. You just want to rush out to connector, and what you want to do then is you want to kind of just post up like this and try to catch a guy who's either like trying to get this guy, or the guy who's contending you, because usually you won't get the guy who's kind of peeking the guy right here because he's not showing himself, but sometimes they overextend, and many guys will most of the time challenge you. I do not recommend it, as I said, on the T side, because it's not very helpful. Something that I usually do is kind of I put myself in between this bar and put my crosshair all the way to the left so I can just get a nice reaction shot on them. And once again just fire and then fall back immediately afterwards. Now, of course, something that you always gotta keep in mind if you're holding mid is that if you're just holding right here, you're not seeing the guy up here. And if you're like looking up here, you're not seeing the guys right here in garage. So many times you'll smoke it off like this and just wait up here, or once again crouch on this side and just try to see if someone's peeking or not. And it's kind of a hiddenness thing because not always they're pushing or kind of boosting up there, and the best bet for you is usually to just post up right here and try to get someone who's kind of pushing out the smoke or just doing some weird plays. Now let's talk about the A side. So we just a couple of minutes ago talked about terrace side and what you want to do on the A side when you're trying to get for an early pick. And I said before, usually like CTs will smoke this off very often. Just aim right here and throw a smoke and they'll smoke it off. I also said sometimes they do push and kind of do it with the smoke. They kind of like aim it up and then it goes in like bam. So you see, due to the smoke, the flash isn't visible for very long, and as soon as you hear the sound of the bounce, it's almost popping. So if you decide, maybe with smoke or flash or without, or maybe you got a teammate flashing in like this, and you're kind of just trying to get a pick, this does work. But if you're deciding to do so, to go for this pick, you will also want to have a teammate, preferably with an M4A4 right here, or right here at NBK, who's then able to, after you kind of pick the first guy and fire it, to cover you, because if they're rushing you, you're kind of in a bad spawn, because right here at forklift you maybe can get one guy, but if you're getting rushed you got no chance. So if you're playing the op, you kind of want to keep your distance, obviously. So this pick is a risky one, as most of them are, but if you got a good spawn and you can kind of just fire or pre-fire and then fall back, it's usually very rewarding, and you once again getting the man advantage. So this pick I would recommend, definitely. Once again, it can be done with a smoke and a flash as well, but you should really not do it solo. So try to have a teammate right here somewhere close to you if you're picking, so that you're safe or good to go. And now let's talk about the B side. Once again, if we got the best spawn, we just kind of run a rush out right here. And what you want to do is kind of, you want to drop down from heaven, and while you're dropping you want to switch you up and kind of post up like this. The T's will kind of jump over it here if they're doing setup, or maybe you're friendly, smoked it off, and you kind of have to play from here. This is a pick that I would usually not recommend. You can do it every now and then, but if you're once again getting rushed, you're kind of not having the upper hand and just fire, and you're kind of stuck right here in checkers, and they rush out right here as well. So you gotta rely on your teammate right here or up heaven very heavily in order to defend you. So let's go back up heaven. So what you usually want to do, the good B pick, is kind of getting your op out and just posting up like this. And as I said before, T-oppers will contest this, because both spawns can be very good. So it really depends on who's there first and who gets the kill first. And once again, they kind of jump over like this. So if you give yourself a little bit more space, you can first of all kind of mess up with the other guy who's kind of trying to hold a close angle and he's not seeing you. And kind of fire like right here, and then once again fall back onto site or into checkers, and then depend on your teammate a little bit more in order to protect you. But yeah, these were the picks that I would recommend for you guys as a city or a T if you're playing on cash and if you're using an op. But once again, I think it's pretty all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and luckySkillFaker out.